Too many times, too many leaders are way too soft and quit way too quickly. I want to talk about the fact that there is a power to sometimes just being stubborn. Let's go. Hey, welcome to the Purpose Project podcast. I'm really excited that you're on today. I'm really excited about this episode as well. Hey, if you've been on this journey with us, I want to thank you for jumping in and being with us this long. If it's your first time, thank you for giving us a shot. I hope it's helpful to you. My name is Brandon Goff, and I get to be the host of this great community and this podcast. When we started this podcast, we started it to be a tool, a coaching tool, to just come along and help you uncover and walk out the purpose God has in your life. We believe everybody has a purpose. And I just want to be a coach in your life to give you some things to think about and apply and practical applications that you can work on to help become the best that God has for you in your life. You can help me out with this podcast. I'd love for you to do that by liking and reviewing the podcast, by subscribing to it on whatever platform you listen, and then by sharing on social media. You can tag me at Pastor B Goff, Goff. I'd love to see those posts and sharing with your friends, family, and coworkers. Some people that you may think would really benefit from this podcast. The more people we can get on here, the more people we can help unlock some purpose and walk in and become all that God has for them. That's our goal. That's our heartbeat here at the Purpose Project podcast. Hey, I'm going to finish out this series of talks today. We've been talking about the qualities of high capacity leaders. High capacity leaders. Here's what I know about you. I've said this every week. You are a leader. No matter where you lead, if you manage a team, if you're the CEO of a company, if you're a stay-at-home mom, you are leading someone. You are doing something in leadership. For me, in my context, I pastor a church in South Carolina, Radiate Church. It's an amazing church with staff, with leaders, and with a ton of amazing people. And I get to lead that. We all get to lead, but I also get to lead at home. I'm a father and a husband. We all get to lead somewhere. So we wanted to look at the qualities of high capacity leaders. And I want to tell you something that really bothers me. And this is a passion of mine. I think there's a generation of leaders that are entirely too soft, too offended. We get so upset, we quit way too quickly. We walk away when somebody disagrees. We walk away and blame it on them when they hold us accountable. We make excuses for why we can't accomplish and finish something. You know, like, what's the easiest way out? Can I just tell you this? The easy way isn't always the right way, and the right way isn't always easy. Man, I just want to challenge today. I want to really be a coach today. And just say, some of us are quitting entirely too easily, entirely too quickly. And there's a difference in excuses and reasons. Reasons are explanations of why something legitimately can't be done, right? The money isn't there. I can't finish building my house. That's a reason, not an excuse, right? Money doesn't grow on trees. Oh, how I wish it did. You know, like, reasons are legitimate explanations of why something can't be accomplished. Excuses are explanations of why I quit and didn't want to finish it. Excuses are justifications of feelings most times. Reasons are a part of life. Reasons are a part of circumstance. And sometimes in life, there's something that pops up and happens, and it just keeps us from accomplishing whatever it was we set out to accomplish. Excuses are a part of, if I'm honest, insecurity and immaturity. Excuses are what little kids do to get out of doing a chore because they don't feel like it. Excuses are just someone trying to justify the lack of follow through. You may be listening to this today going, man, he's coming in hard. Yeah, I'm tired of watching leaders forfeit the promise and the purpose God has for them because we're too soft and we're quitting too quick. I want to challenge today. In the Bible, there's a really famous story Even if you didn't grow up in church, you've probably heard it, but if not, I'm going to walk you through it today, okay? There's the story of Joshua and the walls of Jericho. And Joshua is leading the nation of Israel. He had just taken over the leadership of the nation. And Joshua is leading the nation of Israel into the promised land, okay? They're crossing the Jordan River. They're going through the wilderness. They're making room, or they're making their way to what God decades earlier had promised them. And as Joshua and his nation of people are approaching Jericho, God lines them up very specifically and very strategically. I'm not going to go into why it was all that, but I do have my theories. But God very specifically and strategically lined them up in a specific way. And then God gives them one of the most inconvenient and odd directions that he possibly could. God looks at Joshua and a nation ready to go to war. And they were going to take over the land of Jericho. They were going to fight to the death for what they knew God had promised them, that they called the promised land. He had promised it to them decades earlier, but now was time. We got our swords drawn. We got our armor ready. We got our battle array, which means we got the people that are going to blow the trumpets and declare war. We got all these things and declare victory. We are ready. We're ready to go. They had just dry scooped their pre-workout. Veins were popping. Muscles were bulging. They were ready to fight. And then God said, hey, here's what I want you to do. I want you to silently march around the city once a day for 6 days. Are you kidding me? He's going, don't make a sound. I know you're ready. I lined you up strategically. I put you in place specifically. I told you what needed to happen. Hey, listen, I know you're ready to fight. You got your swords out. You got your armor. You got your trumpets. You got your priests. You got all these things. I know you're ready to fight. I need you to march silently once a day for 6 days. Man, are you, what? So they realize, hey, listen, I got to march. And these other guys are ready to fight. They're just going to be laughing at us. We're just going to be walking. The hustle and bustle of life on the other side of the walls, we just got to listen to that. We can't even respond to it. And they did it. Once a day for 6 days. The nation of Israel, led by their leader Joshua, marched around that city. Can we just stop and realize how exhausting, humiliating, and frustrating this probably was? Let's be real about this thing. While their promised land and their new enemies were watching and going about their life, the Israelites were marching. They weren't talking. They couldn't sing. They couldn't shout. They couldn't laugh. They just marched. Couldn't fight. Just marched. They couldn't talk to their spouse, just marched. And instead of intimidating their enemy, I would imagine they probably became a laughing stock. Their feet hurt. Their weapons and their instruments became heavy. They passed the same portion of the wall every single day for 6 days straight with no progress. To be honest, it would have been acceptable and honestly understandable if they said, you know what? I'm out. It would have been okay for them to make an excuse and just say, I'm done. I'm out of this thing. I don't want to do this. I'm not doing this anymore. This is ridiculous. I don't want to march. I came to fight. I'm a warrior, not a walker. I'm ready to do something. God, what are you doing? It would have been easy for the whole nation to make an excuse. But instead, they listened to God's next instruction, which may have been even more crazy than the first one. God looks at them and he says, now on the 7th day, I want you to march around the city 7 times. And at the end of the 7th march, I want you to let out a shout. The only reason you would shout on a battlefield is victory. I want you to let out a shout. So here's what happens. After 6 days of exhaustion and no progress, after 6 days of marching but no victory, after 6 days of silence but no retribution, After 6 days of marching around what they'd been promised, but they couldn't walk in it, they decided, we'll march again on the 7th day. And this time we're not going to march once, twice, 3 times. We're going to march 7 times in a row on the 7th day. My feet are tired. My weapons are heavy. I'm frustrated. I'm tired of no progress. I'm growing impatient. My kids are driving me crazy. They're tired of walking and marching, but I'm going to do it, God. And he said, and then you'll shout. And they did. And if you know the story, you know the walls fall. The Israelites barge in, they take the city, they take the loot, they take the promised land that God had given them. They did not make the excuse. They walked through this thing. The walls fell down. They took over everything that God had given them. The purpose of God in their life was being realized even in the midst of their exhaustion. And they were victorious because of their obedience to God. Here's my point. What would have happened if they'd have stopped on day 4? What would have happened if they'd have stopped on day 5? What would have happened if they would have stopped on the 4th march around the city on the 7th day? You know what? I'm tired. I get it. What if Joshua would have stepped and said, hey guys, I know you're tired. We've been pushing a long time. I know what God's asked us to do, but we have every reason not to do this. We're good. You don't have to do this. What if he'd have made an excuse to quit? What if they had decided that they'd played the game long enough and they're done? I haven't seen progress. This isn't going to happen. I'm giving up. I'll tell you what would have happened. I presume that what would happen is they wouldn't have seen the walls fall. They wouldn't have experienced taking the city. They wouldn't have walked into the fullness of what God has for them in their life. I want to ask you a personal question today. As a leader, as a friend, as your coach, as somebody you listen to, what excuses are you making that are causing you to cut short what God's called you to do? What excuses are you making to stop marching when God's clearly told you to keep marching? What excuses are you making to not lead to the fullness of your ability and chase the purpose God has for you? What excuses are you making that is robbing you from the promises of God? I want to be real honest with you today. I want to get in your face a little bit. Grab your face mask and pull you down to my level for a moment. You are not always a special case, and you are not always the exception to the rule. Sometimes you got to decide, and I got to decide, stop making excuses and start making progress. Stop being so soft. Stop getting so offended. Stop letting every little thing that everybody says on social media discourage you to the point where you're done. Stop quitting on day 3. Stop cutting the journey short just because you're tired and you want to see results faster. What excuse have you been making that's been keeping you from growing with God? What excuse have you been making for being a bump on a log as a husband or a dad? What excuse are you making for being lazy and out of shape? What excuse are you making to cut short the purpose that God's put in your life? We got to come to that conclusion and go, you know what? It's time to stop making excuses. I'm a little too soft. I gotta toughen up. I gotta quit getting discouraged just because I don't see what I want when I want. It's time to march. It's time to march. You keep marching until God says stop. We don't call our own number. God does. We're not going to be the ones in the Navy SEALs at Hell Week that ring the bell early. No, we're going to keep marching to see the promises of God. Now, I know I'm being a little aggressive, but I'm doing it on purpose. I want to challenge you. I want to coach you today. Today's the day to eliminate excuses and chase the purpose God has for you. It's time to walk out your purpose. It's time to walk out the purpose and the power that God's put in your life. No more excuses. Make that decision today. I'm done. Say this, if you believe this, say this with me out loud in your car, at the gym, at home, in your office. Say this with your mouth. I am done with excuses. Come on, say it with me. 1, 2, 3. I am done with excuses. I'm done. I'm going to start walking with God, and I'm going to go. I'm going to have some grit. I'm going to grind it out. I'm going to march until God says stop marching. My family is worth it. The call on my life is worth it. My God is worth it. My church, my community is worth it. I'm going to keep marching until God says stop. It's time to become all that God has for you to become. Eliminate the excuses. I hope this series of talks has been helpful. I hope today's episode's been helpful. And I hope it's been inspiring and it's proceeded to give you some thoughts and some ideas on how to live some of the qualities of high capacity leaders. I can't wait to hear some of the stories and to continue the journey with you as we continue our next series of conversations starting next week. But for today, it's time to go eliminate excuses. Now, as we say each and every week, I want you to remember this. You matter to me and you matter to God. You have a great purpose in your life, and you can and will change the world. So let's go and let's get after it. I'll see you next week.